Hey Morgan, this is Mrs. Skogland. Just wanted to give you a little bit of feedback on your summer assignment. And so we're mostly going to be talking through chapter 1 since that was the question you starred, but I'll kind of reference a few other things as we're going as well. So to start off, the first thing that I look for in a formal body paragraph is a strong topic sentence, which should answer this question and kind of preview what's to come in the paragraph. And I felt like a lot of your topic sentences, Morgan, sort of referenced the question, like the difference between R-directed and L-directed. So you say the brain is very complicated, which is sort of alluding to that difference. But I think it would be a better start to your paragraph if you would just come out and actually give a brief answer to this. Like, the L is the logical side, R is the emotional side, or whatever. Same thing with your concluding sentence at the end of the sentence, or end of the paragraph rather. So again, we want that to go back to the initial question and kind of make the reader feel like, okay, that was the end. I think that you were getting there here when you say the brain is split into two parts that work differently but together. But again, I think you could have referenced the question just like a little more directly. The next thing I looked for was evidence. I think you did a great job selecting your evidence, so I like how these first couple of quotes up here talk about the left side of the brain, and this one down here talks about the right, so that was a good way to develop the paragraph. You're also doing a really nice job of what's called flow quotes, so I'll read this one out loud. It says, "Another thing the left side is good at is understanding verbal activities such as talking, understanding the speech, blah, blah, blah." So notice, like, if I pretend like the quotes aren't there, that just read as a nice sentence that flowed together, which is what we want. So I appreciated that you were doing that with your quotes already. That's really awesome. The only reason I think you didn't get a 10 on that section was sometimes I think you could have had maybe a little bit more of an introduction. Like here you have so the nonverbal, and I think you could have just introduced that a little bit more. Okay, next I looked at commentary. I think you're definitely on the right track with commentary, Morgan. Like you're not just summarizing the quotes, which is good. I liked up here when you said the left side is similar to a computer because it can, only analyze and understand the literal words. But down here, when you were talking about the right side of the brain, you kind of just said it puts it together to get a bigger picture. I think giving that analogy, like you said up here, similar to a computer, give me an analogy or another example. I think you could have expanded this commentary on the right side of the brain a little bit more. So I would just encourage you, even if you need a second sentence, to do that. Finally, your in-text citations look really good. I would just encourage you to proofread. There were just a few conventions issues I noticed, like here when you have so the nonverbal, often emotional cues delivered through face or gaze, facial expression, and intonation part of talking, that's not a complete sentence. When I read that out loud, it's okay, that feels, not quite right. So just really make sure you're proofreading and catching those kind of things. I also thought you did a good job on your R-directed questions, and I enjoyed reading this one about the TED Talk that you watched. I thought this was really interesting, and I didn't necessarily know about some of the things you were talking about in the paragraph, so it sounds like this speaker used story or used real life event to make that a really interesting talk. Anyway, just wanted to give you some feedback.